For all the sons who died too soon, we just wanted to affirm you. Emmett Till, 14 years old. Tamir Rice, 12 years old. Marcellus Stinner, 19 years old. Dion Kay, 18 years old. Trayvon Martin, 17 years old. And all the sons who've gone nameless, we affirm you. From all the mothers all over the world, we love you and we affirm you. Welcome to the Affirmations Project.
Hi, this is Carrie Innes Moore, and welcome to the Affirmations Project. I am so excited to bring this short documentary to you where we affirm sons. These are mothers and fathers with sons. The goal of this project is to speak into the lives of our children. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you are intentional about affirming your Black or brown child. Thank you.
Carrie Ann Zamore, the creator of this project. Ms. Zamore, I want to thank you for being here and having us and putting this show together. I want to ask you first, what was the motivation behind you creating this project?
Oh, wow. 2020 has been such a different year. It really didn't follow any rules, number one. And I looked at the events of 2020 as they unfolded, and I thought I really needed to do something different. As a woman of color, I see a lot of programs and opportunities for women to affirm each other, whether they're just women in general or women in color. And as a result, we create programs for our daughters, right? And so you see Black Girls Rock, Black Girl Magic, and you see the hashtag about Black women and Black girls, but you really don't see anything about Black boys. And so as a mother of 3 Black sons, I thought it was a critical time to affirm and acknowledge the greatness of our Black sons. I looked at what happened with the George Floyd murder and how the global unrest after, talking about racial, political unrest, and then COVID, with this isolation, we really had the opportunity to be with our families. And during that time, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of one-on-one time with my sons. And one of the things my 5-year-old said to me at the time of the George Floyd slaying, I was just watching the news, and he said, "Mommy, I don't want to grow up." And I said, "What do you mean you don't want to grow up?" And he says, "Because I don't want them to kill me." And that struck a chord. It's something that really hit me hard. And I said, "Well, what do you mean them?" And he says, "The police." And I said, "We have a lot of friends who are police officers, because I actually used to work in a police department." He says, "But what if they don't know me?" And so I deliberately began to affirm him more than I did before. And as a result of that, I saw his thinking change, his mindset change. And so I just grabbed a group of my girlfriends who I know had sons who had struggled with some of the similar things to come together to create this project, really to affirm, reaffirm, and speak into the lives differently about our Black sons.
Definitely, it's a tough situation to have, for us to go through on a regular basis, and speaking to our family and friends about it, and co-workers and just people in general is definitely a tough conversation to have. And having this tough conversation, what is your ultimate goal that people take away from this project, whether it be the panelists that you have here or someone watching it in post?
I just wanted to remind mothers, particularly mothers of color, to be intentional about not only spending time with your sons, but affirming them. Really speaking positivity and speaking life into them and reminding them of who they are predestined to be.
This project is going to be an amazing project. And again, I want to thank you for putting this together and having us here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being a part of it. So my word is culture.
Culture. So you heard it. So yeah. Culture.
Remember who you are. Culture.
Thank you so much. So Dr. Jennings and Mr. Jennings, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of the project. I want to first start with you, Dr. Jennings, and ask you, what is your word of the month?
So my word is empowerment. For me, empowerment just has so much richness of what our boys are needing, and that's really important for me.
Okay. So, Dr. Jennings, you actually have a mentoring program. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yeah, so Boys Matter to Men, mentorship is the mentorship program. What I've noticed is there is a lot of single moms who are struggling with trying to do it all and needing support. I'm blessed and grateful to have my ex-husband to be an amazing support, but I realize not all women have that. So Boys Matter to Men was created to fill in that gap, to provide a qualified mentor who comes into the family and provides that support that young man is needing, that role model to encourage them to be a part of setting an example that's needed for our boys to live a successful life.
From a father's perspective, I say the hardest thing that it was during the transition was I had to make sure I addressed myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've known Liz for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard to find someone who could understand the situation. So I had to be the person to make myself understand the situation. And in doing so, I realized that, all right, what's important, what promises did I make when I was young? And I wanted to continue to make sure that I fulfilled those promises as a father. And I grew up single parent. Liz, for the most part, she grew up with her mom. And we grew up in a situation in which it's motivation to make sure that these kids are invested in. So one, definitely address yourself, because no one else can fix you but you. You have to be honest with yourself, just like Michael Jackson said, man in the mirror. And that's one of the hardest things for a lot of broken relationships to go through, is to address themselves and say, hey, I was the reason, these are the things I need to fix, and I gotta make sure that my next son, daughter, future don't fail. And that's the focus.
Ooh, that changed. Cameras rolling.
Darwin, can you fix it?
Dr. Jennings, one of the things that Mrs. Moore mentioned in the beginning of the documentary was speaking into our sons. So there was a moment, right, when you realized that you were having a baby. Then you realized that baby was going to be a young man. Speaking to your son about what you felt when you realized you were giving birth to a future king.
Okay. So Dante, my whole life I wanted to have a child, and had no idea what that was going to look like. Our journey was almost lost when at 24 weeks I was in the hospital, and they didn't think that you were going to make it. They said, if you're not in labor, then he'll be there. If you are in labor, there's nothing we could do. And so I prayed, and they shipped me to another hospital, and you did not come. So that meant that you were meant to live. I was on bed rest, and as I thought during that period of 4 weeks of being on bed rest, I had a really great time to reflect on who you would be. Imagining the way you would look, imagining how you would talk, imagining what you would accomplish in this life. So many people spoke into my life as I was in that period of the unknown of whether you were going to make it, but you were a fighter, and you fought, and you were born premature at 31 weeks. You surprised everyone. They thought you were going to be in the hospital for 8 weeks. You were there 2 weeks, and you were out. You were strong, and that is who I have seen through your struggle with ADHD, through your struggle with not being able to speak, through your struggle with delayed walking. You didn't talk until you were 10 years old, but you were always a fighter. And as I look at you now, as you do empowerment, as you do your lives, as you speak into other people, I see the king that you are. And I want you to know that I am proud of you. I am proud of your journey, and it is not over, and you have amazing things to continue to accomplish, and I am blessed and honored to be your mother.
So what empowerment means to me is basically when you go on a specific type of thing you want to promote, and then you promote it in a way and then important, and then you do what's important to you. That's my way of empowerment.
Do you feel empowered?
Well, all this stuff I'm doing, I'm feeling kind of empowered, yes.
Awesome. What helps you feel empowered?
I guess what makes you feel empowered is you living out your dream and then just trying to help everybody else and then giving back to the community. I say that's pretty empowering in my type of hustle.
Thank you. That's really important. That's my motivation is when I'm down, when I'm tired, to let you see the example that I hope that you could be, that you could realize that nothing is impossible regardless what happens in life.
Hi, my name is Yolanda Washington. I have 2 sons here with me today.
So, Miss Washington, I know you're retired military, proudly served our country. Thank you so much for your service, and thank you so much for being here to be a part of this project. Everyone has a word of affirmation for the month. What is your word of affirmation for your month?
My word of affirmation is power. I want to make sure that not only my sons, but other sons know that they have the power to be and to do anything that they want to do. And also I want them to know that their journey belongs to them. They write their story, they own their story, and whatever path they decide to take, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay sometimes to start it over. It's okay sometimes when things happen you have to adjust a little bit, but I want them to own their power and know that without a doubt they can be anything that they want to be. Anything.
I know that we talked about this at times, especially with you being the beginning of me entering into motherhood. Kendrick, you're the one that made me a mother, and that was the best time of my life. I take motherhood very serious. I like to, if I don't get anything else right, I like to get this part right. But I do realize that I may not always get it right, but we always come back, and you know that my heart is always there. I'm always there to support you. I will always love you, and I will always be there to guide you. So in those moments, when I found out, then I was having another boy to bring up the rear. And you know, I always tell you, I look at you to be a role model for your brother and to guide him, to lead him, and to pour into him like I poured into you.
Love is definitely important. I mean, that's what, again, it's the foundation, it's the core of humanity, I believe, is love, right? If you lack love, humanity is always disturbed. And that's what we are today, right?
Yes.
So, Will, I want to ask you, when you look at your son, what do you see?
When I look at my son, I see a young man. A young man that's about to have a future, growing as a man and a responsible young man at the moment.
Yes, sir. Right. I mean, and again, you put emphasis on the word man, right? Because there's a different level of responsibility that's associated with that title, right?
Correct.
And you know, Sam, as a mom, what do you want your young man to know about himself?
I want him to know my son is very large. He's 19 years old, but he's grown up in a society where people are intimidated by what they see, and he is full of love.
Yeah.
He tries to make sure everyone's taken care of, and I want people to know that about him and see him for what's within and not just for his size.
Yes, ma'am. He's 18, right?
19.
19, all right. So, as a 19-year-old young man, he'll start navigating through the world, and we can't be with our children at all times, right? What do you rely on for comfort or security when you're not with your child?
I rely on how I raised him. I rely on what I instilled within him. That's the only comfort I have, is knowing that he was raised to understand and to feel that he has everything within him to do all things possible. So I rely on that comfort. That's the only thing I can rely on, because the world's not going to always be kind to him.
Definitely.
So he has to toughen up and rely on those things.
She prepared me to now that I'm out on my own. I'm not the same little kid that was growing up, going to elementary school and middle school. High school, it was a change of pace for everything that was going on. But she wanted to instill everything that I needed to know. So once I went out there in the real world, that I know, to the point as people are going to be intimidated just because of my skin tone, by my size, by my height, but doesn't know I'm a kind person. I want to show people that being a kind person is better than not being someone that you're not. Don't look at the cover of the book, but read the context in that book. Mm-hmm. She taught me everything that I know right now to speak. She told me to follow my dreams. Don't let no one stop you. Because the one thing that people would try to do is stop you from being successful. There's going to be relationships that's going to happen, and don't let them stop you. Let them be landing stones. It's going to be a bumpy road for your whole life. But once you find that one person to settle with, that's someone that's going to be with you. I love you, Mom.
Wow.
Anytime, even when you're gone from this earth, your spirit will always be with me, always. I don't want that to be let go. I don't want nothing to mess up our relationship, nothing. I don't want no one, nothing, no person, no drama, anything. I don't want anything to happen. I want to be able to make sure that you're okay. I want to be, as soon as you get, if you call me, something happened, I'll find the first available flight. I don't care if I have to drive or take a bus from half around the United States or around the world. You are my mama. I came from you to raise the king.
Just know the things that I instilled in you and the lessons that I taught you, and I want you to learn from them. I want you to grow from them. And you will always have me where it matters most. Because the love I have within me, I showered onto you. And that's something that matters. Because you matter. No matter what, you matter. Okay.
I'm trying to keep myself together. I'm trying to keep a straight face. One thing I will say that I will keep dearly, dearly to my heart that you taught me is the people that you hang around.
Yes.
The people that you hang around could possibly affect you or possibly be the people who give you the engagement to go do more.
Namaste, my man. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, this is not going to be a hard interview. You got a lot of energy. I appreciate it. All right. So, Miss Hodge, I want to start with you, and I want to ask you, what is your affirmation, and what does that affirmation mean to you?
I think one of the affirmations is it's okay not to be okay. And I think it's so important. Just growing up, I think we have to always make it look like we were okay. And I don't want that to be for my son. I want him to know that it's okay if he's having an off day, that it's okay for him not to be okay.
Definitely. So, having an off day, not being okay, putting this young man out into the world eventually, right? What about today's society worries you as a parent?
I think the thing that kind of concerns me sometimes is that putting him out, my son is like one of those kind-hearted kids, doesn't really meet strangers. He engages people, and the society is so hard. It's like one of those where it feels like with a personality like that, it eats you up alive. But I want him to be authentically him. I want him to be true to who he is. And I think that's one of the concerns is finding that good balance between the two.
For sure. So, when you talk about balance and putting him into society, what security and comfort do you rely on as he's navigating the world?
I think that some of those things is that we speak into him. We let him know who he is, that he's smart, that he's kind, he's loving, that he can be him. And that when people don't treat him right or kind, it's okay as long as you don't become them, and at some points he'll have to stand up for himself, and it doesn't always mean with, his hands, but that he can use the power of his own words.
Definitely. So take a moment right now and continue to speak into Mr. James Michael.
James Michael. Look at me. You are loved. You are cared for. You are one of the greatest parts of me and your daddy. We are so happy that you are our son. There is not a day that goes by that I am so grateful for it. That I have the ability to be mommy. You have taught me so much. You've taught me how to love. You've taught me how to see things differently. And as your mom, I vow to protect you, to love you, to speak life into you, to gear you into the right direction. You are, though. You mean so much to me. So much to me. And I want you to know that I love you. And there's nothing that you can do that would ever stop that. Yes, ma'am. Well, when I was asked about this, I thought about gift or king. So that is that's my word. And what does it mean to me? Well, I'm a believer, and so I do believe that our men they are priests. They're priests of the home. And when I thought about my son who came first, that is what I thought about, him being a priest of the home someday, and so being able to teach him those things. And so they are the leaders, and so that's what I thought about.
Okay. So again, being a priest in the home, having a young man in your life that you're raising, again, with a lot of the things that happen in our society, with the social and racial injustices, what about today's society worries you as a parent raising a young man?
There are some things that worry me. Like he already said, that he's a college student, and so when a lot of these killings were taking place, he was away, 2.5 hours away, a young black man, and worried about, is he gonna come home? Is he gonna get pulled over? Is he gonna maybe say or do the wrong thing that's maybe innocent, but them taking it the wrong way and me getting a phone call? And so that has been my concern, but I always place him in the hands of God and knowing that God is taking care of him.
So that's an important part you talked about, or you mentioned, was being away. For a parent who has a young man leaving the nest, what words of advice would you give that parent and how to deal with and be resilient in that situation?
Well, I think it all boils down to having faith that you have trained them the best way that you've known how, giving them back unto God, and again, praying over them. We know that they're not always going to make the right decisions or choices, but kind of taking that whole approach where I've done all that I can and I have to trust and rely on God to take care of them and that they're going to do the right thing out there. And if they don't, guess what? I'm still mama. I'm still going to love on them and tell you, and try to give him some good advice and to be able to come back home. So, yeah.
That is definitely good advice and much needed advice. Right? We have parents who just sometimes they don't have the confidence in society protecting them, and even sometimes they waver in what if they feel like they prepared their son well enough to leave the nest. So definitely thank you for that those words of advice. So Trey, again, you're one of the older young men part of this project, and again, you mentioned that you're a college student. How well did your mom prepare you to face the world before you left the home?
Honestly, that's kind of a hard question, but I've been prepared on the sense of like mentally how we understand how we think or how we're supposed to go about, carrying out situations. Well, there's always something that you can learn from, and the best teacher is experience. So that's all I can say on that part.
Cool. I mean, again, there's always little nuggets that we have. It doesn't have to be a long synopsis. There's always one thing that we could take from our parents when we leave the home that helps us get through situations and help us navigate through life in general. So I definitely appreciate that, Trey. Shirley, Carrie Ann mentioned in the beginning about speaking into our children. Right? At this moment, I want you to take some time and speak to Trey.
So Trayvon, first of all, know that I love you from the bottom of my heart, and when I see you, I do see a king. I see someone who is talented, someone who is gifted, who is a child of God, who has many gifts that was given by God. And so I'm so grateful, first of all, for you, for God giving me you, born on the first day of the year. Why? Because he knew that I was going to need it in the beginning, and you were that child that I never had to worry about. You've always made me proud. You've always made me know that when you did leave, that you were going to be somebody. You are proving me right, and I'm so grateful for that. As an architect student and as a musician, I could not be more proud. And I still look at buildings, and I know you don't know this, but I look at buildings and I say, my son is someday going to design something like that. And I can't wait until you leave the nest and go and do what you were gifted to be, what God has made you to be. Allow God to use you wherever you go, even in the designing of a building. Put God's love in it. So when they step into the building, they know God is there. And so I just want you to continue to go and do great things, make Mama proud, and be an example to other young men. Because all young men don't get the same opportunity. So take it and run with it.
My affirmation for the month is education, knowledge. For me, it means not just learning in school, but everything else that you learn in life, you take it with you. No one can take away anything that you're learning. So that's your thing. And use that to help you grow and just become a better person overall. The unknown. You want to protect your children. You want to be there all the time and make sure that they're taken care of. Of course, that's not possible. So just want to be able to show him and teach him all the things that he needs, so when he is out in the world, he knows what to do and how to handle certain situations. With everything that's going on right now, all the videos on social media, they really made me worry. I think about him and how soft-spoken he is. He's very reserved, and not everyone, they don't see that as, maybe he's just a quiet kid. They can see that as a threat for some reason, and I just want to be able to protect him. His father and I, we just want to
speak to your son and speaking to him what you want for him to take with him from this day forward.
Baby, I love you. You know, your dad and I aren't always going to be around. So, everything that we teach you now, I want you to hold on to that. And just continue to be great. It's like we tell you all the time, you are amazing. It's from the little things that you do, like trying to figure out weird things online, you know, doing your research. You're only 10. It's incredible. And we are so, so proud of you. And I could not have asked for a better son.
You love mommy a lot, right? And you know she pours a lot into you, and you feel like mom and dad is teaching you a lot, right? So tell mommy how much you love her. And do you trust that mom has prepared you, you know, and you feel encouraged to go out there and do great things, right? All right. So promise to your mom that you're gonna always, you know, push and be a king and make her proud. Can you do that?
I promise. Me. I'm gonna push myself. Be a good person.
All right. Well, we hear you, man. All right. Keep up the good work, and I'm sure you'll make your mom proud. All right. All right. Thank y'all so much for doing this with us.
Part of affirmation is leadership.
In leadership in today's society, when speaking about our young men, what does that mean to you?
To me, that means for them to walk strongly in their truths, know who they are, to be confident in themselves, and not to be afraid to just be everything that they know that they are in this cruel world.
Awesome. So why was being a part of this project important to you?
So many African American and other minorities, young men, walk around here. Nobody's affirming them and letting them know that it's okay to just be you. You don't have to be extra. You don't have to be anything other than who you are, because who you are is enough. So it was important just to get awareness out and to share with others that they are enough and they're important, they matter, they're respected, and they're loved. When I look at Liam, I see a lot of charisma and unlimited potential. I see that he can do anything that he wants to do in this world, and he goes after it. I see a go-getter. I see a motivated young man who's not afraid to speak when he wants to and when he has something to say. So I see the future. I see greatness. Liam, you are great. There is nothing in this world that you cannot do, okay? You are a leader, you're not a follower, and you're very intelligent. When things get hard, because things get hard, you can always do it. So don't say you can't, and don't say you won't, because you can. Okay? I love you. All right.
A little kiss or a hug.
Yeah, give me a hug. Give me some love. Give me some love.
The affirmation that I chose was chosen. And I chose chosen because God created this prince for me, for my husband and I, to be able to raise as a king. And I believe that when the word chosen, it takes on a big thing as far as knowing when to do things, when not to do things, making that choice, making that right choice. And my goal, my husband and I's goal is to make sure that the foundation that we made for our children, that they take that right choice and do the things that they need to do to further their career or anything that they want to do in life.
All right, so again, that's a powerful and that's a heavy title to have, to be chosen and being a king, right?
Yes, sir.
But you up for the challenge, man. So tell me, what does that feel like to hear that in your mom's eyes you were chosen and you were chosen to be a king?
I feel like I can't let her down. I can't let my dad down and my family. And I thank you for everything you done for me and that. And yeah, you're gonna see me succeed. Definitely.
Awesome. So we're gonna hold you to that, right?
Yes, sir.
What I say to my husband, my son, I'm thinking about my husband as well. But what do I say to my son, Zion? I want you to always remember the foundation that your dad and I have laid for you and your sister and your brothers. We want you to be able to carry on the legacy that we have created for you. We want you to be able to know who you are. Amid everything that's going on in this society, we want you to be able to just keep that journey in a positive way. In a positive way, no matter what's going on. Don't ever forget who God created you to be, and make sure you choose the right choice.
Yes, ma'am.
I was nervous. I felt like, he was the baby. So I have two kings that I have to, raise along with my husband, and, being able to have enough to pour into my sons and to pour into Zion. He has older siblings, and each one of them have their own personality, and just to be able to pour into him his own, knowing that he's going to have his own personality and that he is going to be a great person, and just being nervous of the unknown, because as time goes on, there's so many other things that go on into this world and we don't know. And things were different when we were their age. So there's so many things that they have to go through. And just knowing that I have to be there for him no matter what.
I just want to say thank you. All the times you took me to basketball games, the football games, everything. You sacrificed a lot. So did Dad. I thank you for it. Family is very big on my heart, and so are you and Dad. And yeah, I love you.
Love you too. Zion, as you have graduated from high school, now look back on when you were in all the little leagues, basketball, football, soccer, and at that time I was going through nursing school. And you said I did a lot of sacrificing, and your dad did a lot of sacrificing. And to take my nursing books with me and sit there and watch my son play basketball, I was pouring into you, trying to help you try to figure out what you liked in life. And that's our goal as parents, to help our children to figure out what they want to be. So we have to give them different choices. And that was my goal, to be able to afford the opportunity for you to be able to do the things that you wanted to do at an early age. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the man that you're becoming. I'm proud of how you love on your family. I'm proud on how you are such a encourager for everyone in our family. I'm proud of just the love that you give us. You have such a huge heart, and I want you to know, don't ever let anyone steal that joy that you have. Okay?
Okay.
Because God created you. He chose you to be a king. So you have to live it up.
Yes, ma'am.
And rock it out.
Surround him with strong and stable men that have a strong foundation in faith. He has his uncles, his pawpaw, and he also has a mentor. And those are men, and also Rico. Myself.
Mr. TD.
Yes, Mr. TD. He has a lot of strong, stable men around him that give him different things. And that's the biggest thing that I would say. And don't be afraid to ask for help, because I've been there where pride sets in a little bit. It's definitely a smart thing to ask for help, because being a single mom is tiresome.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. Right. And
I see a young boy that daily blows my mind. He changes almost daily. I can see him coming into himself. I can see him maturing. I can see him trying to do his best. And that, it says a lot, because I'm hard on him, because I want him to do well, and I know what life has for him when he becomes an adult. So I see growth, and I see a young man that really strives for perfection, and that's almost to a downfall, and I will blame myself for that, because I push him so hard to do his best whenever he's doing anything.
so how does it feel, Kamari, to have your mom push you so hard? Do you understand it?
Yeah, I understand it. Sometimes it can get annoying,
Yeah.
but I understand why.
Right. And you understand it's out of love, right?
Yes, I understand that.
Cool.
Kamari, I love you with everything in me. When I had you, it was not a plan, but I do want you to know that you are not a mistake. God doesn't make mistakes, and everything about you, your being here on this earth, is for a reason. So no matter what comes at you, know that I'm always here for you, and I love you. You don't have to change yourself for anyone. Everything about you is the way that you're supposed to be. Don't dim your light for anyone. Strive to do your best in everything. And remember whose and who you are. You're mine by birth, but you're God's by his creation. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's no mistakes in you, around you, or about you.
All right. Cool. How you feel about that?
That was nice. Oh, that.
My affirmation is strength. What strength means to me, I think a lot of times people think of strength as how much you can lift or how fast you can run or things like that. Strength is derived from our hope and our faith, and so strength to me goes deeper. It's something that's only you can have the power of. No one can take it away from you or give it to you. It's something you have within you that God gives us.
When you look at your sons, what is it that you see?
Awesome young man of God. Let me start. Christian's my unique firefighter. He knows so much, and he's such an intellectual and just bright, and sometimes misunderstood because he's so bright. And so I love his charismaticness, just everything that he does to make himself feel so confident. You know, I love that about you. Jeremiah, he's my go-getter. He's a helper. He's caring and kind, and just always trying to do the right thing by everybody.
How did you feel when you first realized that you were giving birth to not one, but two future kings?
I was ecstatic. The fact, first we didn't know if it was going to be a boy and a girl, but or a boy and a boy, or whatever the combination was going to be. But I was so enthralled and just excited that it was two boys. I had never raised boys, so it was like, okay, what's this going to be like? Because my daughter was really easy, so I thought, oh, they'll be easy.
Yeah.
It'll be a breeze. They're looking like it wasn't.
But strength.
Strength,
Right?
definitely. It takes strength from both sides. Look,
Yeah.
they're like, you would, mommy? And I'm like, I've never done this before. Work with me.
For sure. Yeah.
I feel that she's prepared me very well. I feel that if I had to like fend for myself and live alone and do all that, I feel that I'd be very prepared to do it on my own. But I just love that I have a mom that was able to provide for me, that was able to teach me everything that she knows, and I do have a lot to learn, but I'm ready to take it. So I feel that she's prepared me very well.
Awesome. Christian, what do you have to say, man?
I agree with what Jeremiah said, and I really do feel that way because she really has helped us.
I just want you all to know that no one can define you, only you and God. You have purpose and you have a path that's set out for you and both of you. And it's not going to be on the same path all the time, even though you're twins and people try to collabo you. You're one, you're individuals, you know, but then you're each other as well. So I just want you to always remember your foundation of faith, that God is there whenever you go through anything and that no one can ever tell you who you are. Know your worth, know your power that's within you. You are strength, not because I say you are, but because God says you are, and He gives you strength. And just never forget that, because if you have Him, and no matter what you go through in life, you'll always be prepared. You'll always be ready because He goes before us. And you're awesome men of God, and I'm excited to see what you're going to become and everything that you're going to do in life.
I have other parents.
You don't have other parents?
Grandma and
Grandparents.
Parents.
Dad.
So you got
I'm
that
supposed to be what?
I
got it.
I have a grandparents, a dad, an aunt, a grandma.
But you could love them, but I'm still supposed to be your favorite. Okay, got you. I see you, kid.
I don't know because I don't know.
I see you, kid.
I like all of you because so I don't know which one's my favorite.
Oh, okay.
So let's just say, for the sake of argument, at this moment you don't have a favorite. You're still trying to figure things out, right? Try.
My affirmation was exposure breeds excellence. I think it's very important for young men, especially young black men, to understand like their true power. I'm fortunate to have a great father, great male figures in my life. My father's prior military. He's been an entrepreneur my entire life. And so I've always been exposed to hardworking people, hardworking men, close-knit families. And so I want my son to be aware of the greatness that is in his DNA. And then two, just being able to expose him to other people in the community, expose him to life that's out there. And that way, you know, you can kind of tackle life without being unaware, of what's out there. I think a lot of times, like, our boys grow up thinking that sports is the only way to become great, or music. And God bless all of those who have that talent. But I want him to be exposed to everything so he can really tap into, something that could be his lifelong dream. When I look at my son, I see me.
Definitely energetic. And a
Definitely
strong personality.
And that's the thing. It's one of those where you do have kids that have these personalities, and sometimes it is you and their parent and their other parent and their it's family, and DNA is no joke.
Yeah.
And so I've always had a strong personality. My grandfather, his dad, all of our family. And so a lot of times, like, you want to learn how to discipline your children without, like, stifling that that power that's inside of them. Yeah. But understanding that there's a time and place for everything. Because I say so.
Exactly.
But then on top of I say so, just them really understanding how to rationalize instructions and power and authority. And so you don't stifle the mindset of, if they get out of your house and it becomes all they know is because I say so. When they get out of your house, they don't have a rationalization for anybody else. So a lot of times they end up not knowing how to process their own thoughts. And so, yeah, that's really how I feel about
you know, when I look at this kid is how can I bring out the best in him without putting my own bias on things. So, I tell you all the time how amazing you are, right? When I say, guess what?
You say
I love you. And that's something that you have to always know, right? That I love you, and that showing your feelings, there's never a wrong time to do that, but I want you to be able to understand what those are and how to follow instructions and how to take care of those who what? Take care of you. Okay. Well, and so I want you to understand that you're smart, you're intelligent. There is power in your own mind. And so we're never gonna speak down to your abilities, okay? Okay?
Mom too busy working.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Do we need to move? Didn't get it. Growing up like 70s, 80s, yeah, it was, the crack, pandemic, right? Well, epidemic, I'll say. It took that structure away from the home.
That was actually cocaine.
Yeah, well,
Cocaine. Crack came in the late 90s.
Cocaine. Actually,
cocaine.
70s cocaine, then late 80s, early 90s. But then, structure dissipates, right? So the affirmation that we had, the little bit of affirmation that we had is gone completely. Sure. So you got lost, it's like the lost boys type thing. You got the lost kids out there just kind of just making fending for themselves. So we just work, we just get focused on creating a better future for our kids and not really tap into them emotionally.
Yeah.
And it kind of replaces itself with finances and stuff.
I found myself at that time, like I said, I was a teenager, young man, so it wasn't really about kids because I didn't have any, but it was just focus of getting out of the hood. Getting out of the hood. So that's where the focus was. I started working when I was 11. I said I was 13, but I was 11. Just to get a job, to be able to buy shoes and my own clothes for school. Other than that, we was headed to Goodwill.
Like I mentioned earlier, the first affirmation that I got came from my ROTC instructor in school. Although my father at the time was there, I very rarely saw him. He was not in my house. I see him once every time. Right. So the affirmation, my grandfather, he didn't give it to me. So I didn't get it. So I was thinking as I came up, I don't need it. So, but I had to find it within myself.
When did you find it? I found it, believe it or not, going into my early 40s.
Wow. Yeah, I found it a little earlier than that. Probably when I was 15, I was in the 9th grade. I met a guy named David Rhodes. And he saw something in me and started telling me, you can be what you want to be. So that was the first form of affirmation. And believe it or not, it was a Caucasian guy. And we still keep in contact to this day. And then when I joined the military, it ended up being a guy named Travis Tabor. And those are the people who gave me the affirmation. But I knew then as coming through, okay, if I ever had a son, I've been a little rough on him, but I have to give that affirmation to my son. Even the project here, I know I have to do more now as it relates to my grandson to give him a little more affirmation. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to be.
My affirmation, I had more role models.
Wow.
But they were not affirming. Yes, they told me, well, if you go down this path, you can do these things. My role model was actually my mother, my superintendent of the school district, and black politicians.
Wow.
They saw, I gravitated to those older gentlemen because those were the only powerful figures that we seen globally. Didn't have a black president at that time.
No.
So what I did, I inspired to be the first black governor of Texas. And I said I was looking for age 55. And some of y'all already know, I ran for governor and came in 3rd place.
Oh, wow.
So that, I guess that drive or that encouragement, of course they didn't go around telling me they loved me and all of that. Sure. I didn't have that,
Nobody told me that, so I pretty much loved myself. But they gave me, the other word, they inspired me, you know, to get on that path and not deviate from it.
Yeah. Who inspires you?
I would have to say my mother. I didn't have it for very long.
Oh,
and
wow.
My first affirmation came, honestly, from myself. My mother passed away when I was 8 years old. My father was never in my life. So I had male figures, grandfathers, you know, coaches, uncles. I had people in my life that I would just observe and piecemeal into my life what I felt would benefit me. But at a young age, I was forced to look within for strength, for positivity, for love, basically. And you know, it's hard. I speak to my son, both of my sons, about love and confidence and understanding who you are. And I think that's the most important. But I also, you know, I hate the fact that I have to be a realist with them, because that's what I had to learn early in my life. You know, life is not about, you know, you get sold this fairy tale about what life is about. And as you go through life, you realize that, you know, that's just not the case. And anything that you want, especially being a black man in this country, you're gonna have to deal with many trials and tribulations that other people don't have to deal with.
Sure.
And if your foundation is already shattered, you're already starting at a disadvantage. You know, for me, I took that as empowerment, and I figured if I could make it through that, I could make it through anything in life. And my biggest fear in my life is not being here for my children. I don't want them to have to go through what I went through. But at the same time, I feel like I'm not preparing them for life if I don't inject some kind of adversity. I can't just give them what I didn't have, even though all I really wanted was love. So I give them that. You were speaking earlier when I walked in about, you know, learning what not to be. You know, my stepfather used to beat my mother, you know, and I seen it, and I learned what not to be from him.
Sure.
My son, my youngest son especially, he's an observer. He doesn't like to really talk about his emotions, which is probably why he cried during this project.
Black Lives Matter. When I was running for governor, the Dallas chapter of Black Lives Matter asked me, was I a black man or was I an African American? Okay, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, what? You know, so like I explained, I'm a black man that has 4 stars on his collar. As a police chief, I still tell my son, put his hands on the steering wheel, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. Because once that bullet is gone, it's gone.
Yes, sir.
I can always get a lawyer and get you out of jail. So I have to teach them to still respect, not necessarily the badge, but the fact that they can take life.
Yeah.
So I'm also a black man that's cursed because I sit as a mayor. So I sit in making power. But a lot of my own black people castrate me or, you know, he's one of them, when it's not necessarily true. I followed my path and obviously God put me on that path.
Sure.
I didn't, you know, I worked to get there, but God still blessed it. So once I broke that down to him, so I said, well, now you tell me, what am I?
I'm a senior cybersecurity analyst.
Okay, that sounds really important. How many children? Okay, I know your wife is part of the project. Now, who's your wife? And then tell us a little bit about your children.
Christine Elias. I have 3 children, 2 boys, 1 daughter. My oldest son is 19, and my daughter's 13, and my youngest son's 10.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And thank you for being a part of the project. Tell me, What words would you speak into the life of a young black or brown child?
Knowledge, because I feel like knowledge is the foundation of all things as far as knowing who you are, understanding what's going on around you, and the more knowledge you have, the better you'll be able to deal with what's going on in the world.
Okay, awesome. Tell us what it means to you being a part of this project.
It's something I wish I could have had growing up as a child. It shows that we care and love each other, and that it's something that's special to me, because my children deserve to be able to be in a world where there's love, and I believe that starts with loving each other. So this project to me gives us that opportunity to show that, and I appreciate you for it.
I'm the Honorable Cedric Davis Sr., City Manager of City of Marlin, Texas.
All right. You were also a police chief in the past, correct?
Yes, police chief, educator, and politician and community leader.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Tell us a little bit about, you have children, and a son in particular?
Yes, ma'am. I have Cedric Jr., and then he has 3 sisters.
All right, awesome. Tell us, if you were to speak into the life of a young black or brown child, what words of affirmation would you give them?
Excellence, because we are created excellence. We are a strong culture. We are intelligent. We present excellence. I would instill excellence into them and affirm that, because once they realize inside that they are excellent, then the world is open to them. Their creativity, their ingenuity. It's something that cannot be taken from them. So I would speak excellence into my black and brown young men.
Awesome. Awesome. And tell us, being a part of this project, what does that mean to you?
It is very honorable. I am proud to be a part of it, because, like I said, it gives an opportunity. I think we need to reaffirm that we are an excellent culture, even though all the negativity in TV and people look down on us, but we are excellent people. So to be a part of this program or this project is definitely, it's an honor for me to be here.
Tawan Crawley, I'm retired military, and I'm retired, and I'm a business owner.
Okay, tell us about your business.
Well, I own a limousine transportation business here in Killeen, Texas, and what I did, I started 7 years ago in May. We started with just 1 limo. Now we have 2 limos, 2 15-passenger vans, and 2 sedans and an SUV.
Awesome, awesome. And you have daughters and a grandson.
I do.
Tell us words of affirmation for your grandson.
Well, for my grandson, the words of affirmation I get that I give him quite a bit is commitment. Because if you're committed to something, you're going to go through, you're going to do whatever you got to do, the hard work, the education, and you're going to be committed to everything that you do, not only in what you do and through life, and be a good person. Because I tell them, it's not your attitude. You always have to have a good attitude, because it's your attitude, not your aptitude, that will tell you your altitude in life. Yeah. So you could be a good person, but have a bad attitude, and people don't want to work with you. But you can not be the most smartest person in the room, but you have a good attitude, and you can go far longer in life through people.
Awesome. And tell us about being in this project. What does that mean to you?
Being in this project is a huge honor to me. Just to be in that, just to be asked, just to do a project like this, just to maybe speak into one kid or 100 kids and see this project, and I can instill one word from them to keep them from going a different direction. That's all we can ask for.
Awesome.
My name is Victor Hall. I'm an Army veteran, the Administrative Officer for Nursing Services for the Department of Veteran Affairs.
Awesome. And you have children. Tell us about your children.
I have 10 children, 5 boys, 5 girls. Boys ranging from 15 down to 8 months.
Wow, okay. And tell me, what words of affirmations do you give to your sons?
I think the one consistent affirmation I give is courage. I'm really big in tracing my ancestry, and if you go back into our ancestry, our DNA, we come from a strong people, right? And so it took a lot of courage for us to overcome a lot of adversity, and that's one characteristic I want my kids to continue to maintain, is courage. The importance of this project to me is about obligation. When it comes down to being a father, being a member of the community, it's my obligation as a man to continue to sow into our kids and empower our youth through any way we can. This project is doing that. So yes, it's a pleasure of mine to be a part of the project and to push forward that empowerment. But individually, again, as a father, whatever way I can help empower my kids and motivate my children, motivate the youth around me, and be a part of the community and contribute to the community is my obligation. Again, so obligation for me.
Okay, well, I did served in the United States Army. I did 30 years, 1 month, 16 days. My wife did. I let her tell it.
3 years, 3 months, 3 days.
We're high school sweethearts. We're originally from Lynchburg, Virginia. We have 2 daughters. One of them is 30, and the other one is 24. We have 2 grandkids, a boy and a girl. My grandson is 12, and my granddaughter is 10.
Oh, wow, okay. So you are parents of girls now raising, well, you're not raising, but you're now grandparents to a grandson.
Yes.
All right. So one of the reasons that we're doing the Affirmations Project is really to speak into the lives of little brown boys in particular, because there are a lot of programs that we have found for little girls, right? Particularly when we talk about little brown girls, affirming them.
Sure.
But we don't see a lot of positive programs or affirmations for brown boys, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to do that program. And so just kind of talk to me about, as you were growing up as a man, who spoke into your life?
Yeah, growing up in Lynchburg, Virginia, I grew up very, very hard, unfortunately. Those are the cards I was dealt. Came up no lights, no water. Didn't have a lot of, had my grandfather, my father, my uncle, aunts and uncles. But the first time that I had somebody speak male figure and was when I joined ROTC. His guy's name was Master Sergeant David Rose. He kind of showed me and saw something in me that I didn't see within myself. And he was a Marine, and I met him in junior ROTC at my high school. And then I went to enlisting in the military, and I found a guy named Kravis Tabron. He was my mentor since I was a young person, and he, to this day, still guides me through the life change. Obviously, guided me through 30 years of the military, but he also guides me to life situations. Now, as it relates to my grandson, we learn by doing, and we learn by actions, and we also learn by being an example. So what I try to do is show my grandson, as well as my granddaughter, the actions to be a good and positive role model and get them to read. I think education is huge in today's world. So we got to get educated and educate ourselves and be grounded and be very, very transparent. And I don't know if Tara can add on to that.
Okay, well, my grandson, I think he gets it from his mom. He's very intelligent. He's not the type of kid you tell him something and he accepts whatever it is that you tell him. He does actually do his own research, and he's been doing it since he probably was about 6-7 years old. So he kind of take what we have and he takes what we say to him and he kind of builds off of that with his own research as well.
Tell me, what words of affirmations do you speak into the life of your grandson?
Yeah, a lot of times when we're sitting there talking, we kind of show him, or I kind of tell him, hey, listen, you can be whatever you want to be. Now, I ask him on a daily basis now, What are you going to be when you grow up? And then what are you doing now to build on that? And then to affirm, I say, hey, you can do that. You can, and this is what you have to do. You have to research and see what you need to do to reach your goals and to reach that person. Right now you're 12, but this thing called life, you have to take the stairs. It's not an elevator. And I try to, tell him that and show him that it's a little rough, but you can make it regardless of what you do.
From a mother's heart, I'm just gonna say what I've always said to my girls, as well as my granddaughter, my grandson, is that you can be whatever you want to be, and to never let anyone say that you are less than or you cannot do that because of whatever the reason may be. Just know in your heart that if you want to be something, then you work towards being whatever it is you want to be, and just not allow anyone to tell you anything differently.
Yeah, a lot of times, like I said, we need that pat on the back, or we need that push, or because taking from a documentary, you're taking different perspectives from other people, and you can take that, and a lot of times you can use some things that some people take and some things other people take. But a documentary can take that whole experience from different people's ways and walks of life and things they have been through to put together their life and to go through this thing and go up them stairs that I always tell people of this thing called life. Because whatever you go through life, Psalms 91 will get you through that, the rough times, the bad times. So Psalms 91 is the one that I like to give people as it relates to, you can take that and go anywhere with it.
Amen.
I did think of something. It kind of relates to many years ago, our bishop in North Carolina said to us that when you walk into a store, even if you have no money in your pocket, walk into that store as if you can purchase anything in that store, and you live as though your father is rich, because he is rich. So I take that and I use that in many different aspects, because when you walk into a place, or if you say that this is what I want to be in life, then know that you're going to be that person. And there's people out there that's going to try to tear you down and say, oh no, you can't do that, because being a person of color, you have to work extra hard. And there are times where people feel like, well, I can't do that because that's meant for this person. But you have to understand that your father is who he is, and he will guide you along the way, because he guides us all. And everything in life is designed by God. So you have to walk into that purpose, and you can't let anybody pull you down and make you feel that you're not designed to do this particular thing.
My name is Lavina Sabri, and this is my husband, Jamil Sabri. We are the owners of So Natural Catering. I am also the organizer of the Armed Forces Natural Hair and Health Expo, the Veggie and Art Fest, and the Colleen Black Art and Film Fest.
Awesome. And do you guys have any children?
We have 6 children.
Okay, wonderful. And so, Mr. and Mrs. Sabri, this project, the Affirmations Project, essentially it was birthed after the death of George Floyd and really the racial unrest the nation saw in 2020. One of the things that we wanted to do, or we saw rather, was there wasn't a lot of projects or programs which affirmed young men. And in particular, hearing George Floyd cried for his mother, as a group of mothers, we wanted to do something positive to really affirm young African American children.
Yes, I have 3 sons.
Okay.
My oldest son is 18 now, and he's in the military. And since I really didn't have I had a father, but he was not the father that I would say would help me mold myself to be a good father. So all my cues I took from myself, and praying that I was doing the best job with the sons that I do have. And without the backbone just to my left, made things all possible.
Yes, I had the opportunity to hear it, and the part where he cried for his mama knowing that she was already deceased and gone, it just made my heart just sink to know that he knew that he was about to die.
Wow. So as a mother of black men, how do you prepare your children for what they face in the world, essentially?
I'm honest with them, completely 100% honest with them. I don't try to sugarcoat anything. I tell them that race does matter, and I also empower them to let them know that although people out there think negatively about you, you do not have to think negatively about yourself, that you are a strong, young, intelligent black man.
Well, I speak to them with the experience of me being a black man and going through some of the things growing up in the city and how being black, you're a target. So moving forward with my son that's already in the military, he have to be aware of people. And it's a shame that I have to say that. You have to be aware even of our own skin sometimes, because they can do us some harm as well.
Yeah.
I would say to my sons, along with other young men, that don't never give up on yourself. Believe in yourself. Do not let society or social media dictate who you are. Understand where you come from and understand where you're going. And just hold your head up high.
Yeah. Ms. Sabrina?
One of the things that I've always told my sons, and I still tell my sons, is that you can do anything that you put your mind to. If someone has done it, it's easy, for you to follow that. But if it hasn't been done and it's something that you want to do, then you have to make the road. You have to create the road for it. So you can do anything that you put your mind to.
You are a leader. You are the affirmation of strength. You are important. Do not let society dictate who you are. Remember, leaders lead.
You are loved. You are kind. You are courageous. You are intelligent. And never let anyone take that away from you.
My name is Rodney Lamar Duckett. I'm a byproduct of the community which I grew up in. I am a piece of clay, and I've been molded by many, many hands within the community which I come from. The greatest affirmation that I've ever received from any man is never to be outworked. You may come into this world with millions of disabilities that will prohibit you to do a lot of different things in life, but you should never, ever, ever give up on yourself. And one of the things that you should not have the inability to do is to also allow people to love me is a process of continuation, which I do all over again. So in short, affirmations is the seeds that are planted. Principles are the fruits that are bared.
Yeah, this project was so much fun to work on and bring everybody together. I think we had a great day together here at the golf course, and I'm here with my two youngest sons. Like I said, I have three, but these are my two youngest babies. Although they're not really babies, and so affirmations. When Landon was born, we had affirmations that we did every night, and I have affirmations that I do with Andrew as well. And so I think, what I just want to remind the both of you is to always remember your culture. Always remember your roots, where you come from, and those people who came before you, right? Not just your grandparents, but your great-grandparents and, all those that are not even related to you. All of those who struggled so that you could have the freedoms that you experience. And then always remember that I love you. And that not just me, but you have a whole tribe of people that we call family who love you a lot, and that there's nothing you cannot do when you put your mind to it. And so always write down your vision, write down your dreams, write down your goals, and never stop achieving. Never stop achieving. Never stop achieving. Never stop achieving. All right? Because you are great. You're intelligent. You're powerful. You're strong. You're amazing.
So Andrew, Landon, like, what does mommy mean to you? How has she poured into your lives?
Mom has supported me since I was born, and then even more when I was 12 and pushing past all the struggles. And since it's just been me and Mom since the age of 12, there's been difficult times, I'm gonna admit that, but my mom's, she's still been in my corner. She's still pushed me, and in a way I've helped my mom out in more than one way, especially with him. And, you know, happy for my mom. I helped her in her darkest times. She's helped me, and I've even helped this little one, even though he won't admit it.
Landon, do you love mommy, right? Tell mommy how much you love her. No?
Are you camera shy?
Not today?
Yeah.
But you love mommy though, right?
Yeah.
Mommy is definitely raising you to be a great young man, right? Awesome. You're a man of many words.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Landon. And thank you, Andrew, so much for being here today with us and helping Mom out with this project.
Yeah.
All right? So, any last words, man?
Last words, affirmation. For all of you out there, be intentional about speaking into the lives of your children. It only takes a few minutes, only takes a moment for you to be intentional. If you do it every single day, you'll notice a change in your children's life and actually a change in their path. And so thank you so much for tuning in. And I love you, kiddos. It's our legacy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
When they brought us here, you had the ones that slept on the back porch of the plantation owner. They got some bacon. The other ones got pig intestines. They slept out in the shacks and things. So, and they took away our language. They didn't teach us to read or to understand right or wrong. So all we saw was basically the bucket of crabs. And if you look at our society or look at our culture, it's consistent. It's inbred. You know, it's not reach back and I bring somebody up. It's I got mine, you get yours. You know, and it still boils down to how we what we do for our communities.
Those things are there, right? Like, you know, structure is what it is, right? When you know what you're up against, you have two choices. Either you can run head first into it and then complain that my head hurt, or you can understand that obstacle is there, find ways to get around and overcome the obstacle. And then when you overcome it, hey, watch out. You know what I'm saying? Like, this wall is coming. You know, leave a sign there, leave something, or reach back over the wall and get it. That's where the unity comes from, because, you know, when it, you know, strength in numbers, and the strength is in the numbers and strength is in the money, right? We know we cannot erase, like, the culture that is the structure of America. We can't erase that, right? Well, we can, but that's a daunting task, right? That means a lot of change for a lot of people, and a lot of change that we probably won't be comfortable with. And I think the thing about this conversation is always, do we really want what we say we want, right? Because if we really want certain things, that means that we got to give up on some of our comforts. That means we got to give up on some of our things and we just kind of just get away with to a certain degree. Like, we got to be careful what we ask for to a certain extent and be prepared